Cool, thanks very much. Yeah, absolutely understood if we're boring you, but hopefully we'll keep you entertained. The next few slides have got more imagery as well of what the camps actually look like and that kind of stuff. But Luke, crack on with the Lower Zambezi.
Yeah, and as Tad said, you know, we can do this on an individual note as well. If you ever want to get into more detail and get on a call with either myself or Ty or both of us, we always take time for this, and there's no substitute coming out to Zambia, but this is as good as it gets if you can't make it out. The Lower Zambezi, one of Zambia's most picturesque national parks, probably Southern Africa's most picturesque. Big Zambezi River, beautiful winterthorn trees, amazing escarpment. We began here in 2018 and wanted to go back a little bit back to basic safari, focusing on what's outside the tent. There's a great variety of activities. The Lower Zambezi is best known for that variety. There's walking. In my opinion, it's one of the best walking parks in Africa. There's a view all the time. There's these shady winterthorn trees. There's big game, tiger fishing, canoeing. That not many of you will know, but the Zimbabweans back in the day all used to canoe on the Zambian side of the river. When canoeing made its name, those channels are all on the Zambian side in the Lower Zambezi National Park. They're unbeatable. Yeah, one of Africa's top wildlife destinations.
Just a bit on seasonality, you know, so the park, we generally open in May, stay open to the end of October. And that's sadly just because of access. The airstrips get a bit too, you know, dicey and stuff. So yeah, so that's what you're looking at. It is a seasonal camp. And we have two rates, a low season and a high season rate within that. So yeah, it's Luke in his younger years. You want to give a little bit of background to the?
Yeah, I'll keep this quite brief. That's Kyle on the left and me on the right. We're very good friends, same ideas, and used to work together for Sausage Tree Camp, and wanted to do things a little bit differently in the Lower Zambezi, which inside the park, as you all probably know, is quite a high-end product, and we wanted to make it a high-end experience. It's quite easy to build a fancy camp, in my opinion. It's quite hard to do a great experience. So that's what we're about.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, Luke he's quite humble, but he was born and bred in Zambia. He's fluent Nyanja, one of our main languages here, speaker. I think his mum was telling me the other day, he spoke that he used to dream in Nyanja before he could speak and dream in English. So proper Zambian. But yeah, Kyle on the other hand is a proper South African. But bless him, he's been here for a while, and yeah, you know, he's got a great heart, and yeah, his work with the guide training speaks for itself. And the guide training is not just in-house guide training. Kyle Branch is a very, many people know him already. He's one of Southern Africa's finest guides. We're very, very lucky to have Kyle, you know, as part of us. But he actually wrote the national curriculum for the guiding system here in Zambia, the new guiding system. So it's not just our own guides that we're interested in training, but it just harks back to our kind of ethos. You know, if we can get the whole of Zambia, all the youngsters in Zambia, male and female, to get up to the standard of a Kyle Branch, then that's our kind of our ethos, our legacy. Yeah.
Kyle came through the Pinda School of Guiding, which I'm sure many of you will know, down in Southern Africa with and beyond. So he cut his teeth there. He's come into Zambia, and really he's been on the Zambezi for over 10 years now. Writes the canoeing and walking exams. And somebody once asked me to sum Kyle up, and Kyle can entertain an 82-year-old in his game vehicle and turn around and entertain the five-year-old grandchild within a split second. So he is well known as one of Southern Africa's better guides, and he's very passionate about passing on that knowledge, passing on that skill set to young Zambians, and has been doing that for the last 5 years very efficiently and thankfully with us.
I think these slides, if I remember correctly, just to give you an idea of the ethos. This is Kutali, the one of the two camps are in the Lower Zambezi, Kutali camp, and you can see the kind of vibe, the stretched canvas roofs under these beautiful winterthorn forests. So yeah, this is the main area at Kutali. A few bullet points, but these images are really impactful. You can see how pretty and you know, when like we've been sort of harking on about, it's about the experience outside of the tent, but we really feel that we've got the essence of a bush camp as well nailed, we hope. And yes, we have bucket showers, but they're big enough for 2 people. It's part of the excitement. Looking up to the stars and the winterthorn forests is all part of it.
It's part of the program. You order your bucket shower like you can order gin and tonic from the waiter. It doesn't take any longer, and you can have it half a shower, you can have it cold, you can have it warm, you can have 2. Yeah,
but you still got the flushing loos. It's ensuite. The bedding is fantastic. These seem like semantics, but it is important. The finishings are still very good. Torches and radio comms 24 hours a day for safety. These small things that make the difference. But that's some nice images these are new images of Kutali this year from this season. And the experience, the activities, you can see the winterthorn forest is the most magical place. The amount of pro photographers and photographic guides that are really pulling into this eastern end of the Lower Zambezi is quite something, because of scenes like you get here. And yes, the game drives like the one on the left.
Yeah, it will make a bad photographer look good. It's so beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah, we're really blessed. But a nice thing about the canoeing, we keep going on about the canoeing, but this middle image shows you at Kutali, we canoe up one particular channel that no one else does, called the Kalefu. And it's the one channel where you're canoeing under the shade of the trees. So a lot of folk are canoeing on the Discovery Channel, which is nice, but it's broader, or the main Zambezi itself, which is very broad and can get windy and stuff like that. But it's basically like being on a walking safari, but in a canoe. We see leopard and lion and buffalo and from a canoe under the winterthorn forest. So it's an exceptional wildlife experience. Just being on a canoe,
the visibility from this area, from the canoes in this particular channel through those forests, you see far, the banks are low, the wildlife is right there. There's no high banks, big open expanses of water. Gets a bit boring. It's really cool.
And then as Luke says, walking, and look at this for a scene. This is sitting down at sunset with a herd of elephants, as relaxed as they are. You'd think this would be the Mana pools, which everyone associates with elephants and things. It's the same valley. I would say they're both worth visiting, but definitely the Lower Zambezi can hold its own. And scenes like this at sunset is every single day for our guests. And getting out of the car, it's a very Zambian thing as well. We have a little bit more freedom out here. You don't have to be back at sunset. Yeah. So where else are we? This is Chula now, I guess. Hey?
This is Chula, yeah.
So now we're looking at Chula camp, which is our second camp in the Lower Zambezi. People often ask, look, they're only 10 Ks away from each other. What's the difference? Do we combine both? And we always say, look, if you've got the time, and that would be a minimum of kind of 4 nights, spend a couple nights in each camp. They have very different vibes. It's hard to explain. Mark can maybe back that up or not. But the Kutali forest, the Winterthorns, is a very cool vibe. But then you come to the island, Chula Island. It's on an island. Same size camp. There's only 5 tents in each camp. But this tree, as you can see, is on white sandy beaches under a mahogany tree. Very different to the tall forests of Kutali.
I would say you feel a little bit more isolated at Chula camp, just because you gotta take the boat quite a lot more. So there's that sense of like an island in the middle of the Zambezi. I loved it. Like you can go walk around like barefoot. It's amazing.
It's got that Robinson Crusoe feeling. It's an island. It's remote. It's big. There's no direct access onto the island, so nobody can just drive onto it. It's got all of the wildlife. We have lion, leopard, everything coming through camp, and
so like sort of crudely as well, the experience complementary. Kutali, because you can drive straight into the camp, for example, slightly more conducive for game drives, although both of our camps offer all the activities that we're speaking about. But at Chula, it's particularly good for your water-based activities, getting out on the boats, getting out on the canoes, bit of fishing, and I think actually, if I remember the next slide, this kind of stuff, a very Zambezi experience, especially this time of year when it's baking hot, to take your guests out in the Zambezi on a nice, shallow, safe sandbank and have a spot of lunch or a G&T.
Is that Nikki? Is that Nikki and
who's this? Recognize someone?
Yeah, I think they were staying at Chula again when I was there.
Yes,
Karen
it's Karen and Steve.
Karen and
Yeah,
Steve,
so
yeah.
they come
Oh, yeah,
2 or 3
Karen and
times
Steve,
a
yeah.
year, both to the Kafui and Lower Zambezi.
Yeah, that's a good point. They don't have a favorite park or camp, so that's they're a good barometer. But yeah, so that's Chula. So now let's hop to the